Well, welcome. Really glad you are joining us this week online. My name is Joel, and I'm the pastor here at Paris Community Church. And we hope that this time online creates space for you to encounter more of God in your life where you need it the most. If you find this time helpful or encouraging, then perhaps you can share it with others. You can invite a friend to come and to watch it and then have a conversation around what was shared with one another. As we get closer to Christmas, I know we have lots of plans going on. And for us as a church, we have a number of ways that we're creating space for more people to connect with God. One of the primary ways is as we get closer and closer to Christmas, we're having 3 Christmas candlelight services. It's going to be on Sunday night, on the Tuesday night, and on the Wednesday, Christmas Eve. 6:30 here at the church. We're also going to be providing something online. But if you're considering joining us in person, we would love for you to come and to kind of reserve your spot as we're expecting more and more people to be a part with us. Now, there's lots of other things that are taking place, and so the best way to stay connected with everything that is happening, not only as we lead up to Christmas, but then also jumping into the new year, is through our e-blast. You can either send me an email or you can jump onto our website and you can connect with us there as well. Listen, we recognize that at Christmas, this be a time to celebrate, a time to give thanks. But for some, it can also be a challenge. Perhaps you are grieving the loss of a loved one, or you're feeling lonely. If we can be of help to you, send us an email. We would love to connect with you. If you have questions, if you need people to be praying for you, we would love to do that as well. And so send me an email and allow us to stay connected. Well, thank you for joining us here today. We hope this time together is helpful, beneficial, and again, just creates that space for you to encounter more of God in your life. Thanks for being with us. Have a great rest of your week.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing on the plains, and on mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strain. Shepherds wide this jubilee, why your joyous strains prolong? What the blessed tidings be, which inspire heaven's song? Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Welcome. I'm really glad you are joining us this week. Today we're jumping to week 2 of our series called The Gift of Yes. And it's a series that really looks at the question of, if we were to give a gift to God, what gift would we give? And we keep circling back to the reality of, I believe one of the greatest gifts that we can give to God, one of the things that God desires most from us, is the gift of yes, the gift of obedience. And so week by week, we're going to circle back to the Christmas story and begin to see how this was actually the gift that many gave to Jesus that very first Christmas, and how we can continue to give this gift as well. What I'm really excited about this series is that kind of no matter where you land when it comes to faith, I believe that this is a series that'll help you take a next step. That for those of us that are followers of Jesus, we're reminded again of the importance of obedience. That obedience helps take our belief and begins to shape our behavior. That we want to continue to say yes to what God is asking of us in the midst of our life. Now, for those of you that are perhaps still exploring faith and are asking questions and are essentially asking the question of like, well, what difference does Jesus make in my life? I believe this is a series that will show you that as we step out and we say yes to Jesus, we begin to see the difference that he makes in life, particularly when it comes to a greater sense of purpose. Oftentimes, one of the conversations I find myself in with people, regardless of whether they have faith or not, is wanting to find a greater sense of purpose, wanting to make a difference, wanting to see how their life matters. And it doesn't matter whether you're old or young, in school or working or at home. We all want to have a greater sense of purpose. And today I want to particularly focus in on that, because I believe that when we say yes to Jesus, when we step out in obedience, it gives us a greater sense of purpose without even changing anything else that you are doing regularly in your life. And so today, we're going to jump into the story of Christmas from the perspective of the shepherds. And so we're going to read from Luke chapter 2, beginning in verse 8. And this is what we read. It says, "And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, 'Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger.' Suddenly a great company of the heavenly host appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, 'Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace on whom his favor rests.' When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, 'Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about.' So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby, who was lying in the manger. When they had seen him, they spread the word concerning what had been told about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things they had heard and seen, which they had been told." As I focus in on the shepherds, and you start to see just the narrative that they play, what I appreciate about the shepherds is their willingness to say yes to telling others about Jesus. That after they received this message from the angels, they made the decision, well, let's go and check this out. Let's go see what this is all about. And after they had encountered Jesus, after they had encountered God, their very next step was to begin to spread the word. They began to share with others what they had seen, what they had heard, what they had been told. The shepherds, for me, land at a place that reminds us that although faith is personal, it's never meant to be private. That these shepherds are one of the great examples of what does it look like to be a witness? What does it look like to begin to share and tell others about what you have experienced, about what you have encountered when it comes to your faith? But the challenge, I'm sure for many of us, and perhaps yourself included, is that when it comes to faith, we're almost reticent about telling others. We're almost concerned of like, what will people think, or what will people say? I think oftentimes one of the greatest barriers is the sense of feeling, well, I want to share my faith, but I just don't feel qualified. I mean, I don't have a great biblical background, or I haven't gone to school, or I haven't had any specific training. And you're like, well, like what do I say? And like, how do I say it? And what if they ask me a really difficult question? And so at times we may think, like, can't we just leave that to people like you, Joel? Like, this is why you do what you do. Like you tell others about Jesus, and we want to just grow in our faith. But don't ask me to share my faith with others. This is why I love the shepherds. If you were to go back to the days of Jesus, the shepherds would probably be the most unqualified people culturally to be witnesses. That what they said would likely never be listened to. Like, because of what they did, because of the jobs they held, they, according to everyone else, would just be unqualified to be a decent witness. Yet this is the incredible beauty of God, that he chose them to be the first messengers, to be the witnesses of all that happened. Or you can push it a little bit further. You start to look at some of the disciples. And oftentimes we put the disciples like Peter and James and John, and we name our kids after them. We name our churches after them. We think like they were such incredible witnesses. We could never be like them. But if you go back to the original story, when they first became witnesses, they were often viewed as unschooled, ordinary individuals. And yet God used them. In the very same way, God can use you to spread this incredible good news of who Jesus is. But then a second pushback, a second barrier is at times people feel nervous or fearful. They may look at our culture and our society, particularly North America, and think, well, we see people who seem a little bit over the top when it comes to sharing their faith. And I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be perceived as them. I don't want to be associated with them. And so I'm just going to kind of keep my faith to myself. That yes, it's incredibly important, but I'm just going to keep it personal and private. But God desires that we share our story, that we share our faith. One observation I often make is oftentimes we push back when it comes to sharing our faith because we assume the worst. We assume that people are going to get combative, that people are going to ask us questions that we don't understand. But what if we assume the best? Have you ever considered, and this has actually been more my experience, that the more I talk about my faith, the more people are actually open to having these conversations. That people are actually unsure of just how we even start this conversation. And so sometimes we may use, well, I don't want to be awkward, or I don't want to get into it with people, almost as an excuse that likely will never show up. And so as I think more and more about how we can give the gift of yes, the gift of obedience in sharing our faith, I start to realize that yes, it has an impact on others, but it actually has a tremendous impact on us as well. In two specific ways. One way is I believe that when we share our faith, that the more we talk about Jesus, it actually deepens and fuels our faith. That it perhaps is one of the most important disciplines or practices that we can engage in. Why? Because the more you talk about Jesus, the more it increases your prayer life. The more it gets you back into the Bible to look at the questions that people are asking. The more you start to realize of just the joy that comes with sharing your faith. Because oftentimes what happens is when we talk about faith, and others that we know and love and care about want to talk about faith as well, it gets us super excited as well. The second thing is it's so important to share our faith because it actually gives us a greater sense of purpose. What if something we looked at, no matter what we do, whether we go to work or whether we stay at home, whether we're in school, whether with our friends or neighbors, like, not to be over the top, but what if we saw this as opportunities to share our faith? For me, when I think about playing hockey or coaching basketball or just engaging with people, I'm always mindful of, are there opportunities to talk about my faith, to talk about why I live the way I do? And then suddenly, we begin to see this incredible difference that it starts to make. This is why I love the shepherds, that after they experienced, after they encountered, they went and they told others. And so what does this look like? Like, how do we actually begin to share our faith? There's this great line by the Apostle Peter, one of the great followers of Jesus, when he is actually writing to other Christians about the importance of sharing their faith. This is what he says. He says, "Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give a reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect." You see, one of the realities is that when we are living out our faith, when we are encountering and experiencing more of Jesus, people will begin to notice. People will recognize the sense of hope and the sense of joy that we live with. And so are we prepared to give an answer? And so how do we share our faith? I think content in terms of what we say is so important. To follow the lines of the shepherds, to always keep it personal. That they shared with others what they heard, what they saw. And the same is true for us. Two questions that I always circle back to if you're thinking about, like, what can I talk about? I would start with this. What difference does Jesus make in your life? Like, what is the differences that you're seeing? It could be in terms of how you spend your time. It could be in terms of how you respond to others. It could be in terms of how you deal with difficulties. Like people want to see the difference, want to hear the difference that Jesus makes in your life. The second way we can kind of make it personal is by just talking about, like, why you go to church. Like why is faith even a part of your life? When we start to do that, we begin to see that it's not always about us having all the answers, but just sharing our experience. But then there's a second element, and this becomes our posture in terms of how we share. Apostle Peter says, do it with gentleness and respect. That sharing our faith, being a witness, is not about winning an argument. It's not about being combative. You see, it's about sharing a relationship. Like, in simple terms, it's don't be a jerk. Like, don't do it in a way that's going to start to bother people or offend people. That if you start to have a conversation, you realize that people maybe are not quite interested yet to have this conversation, then to just step away. I think so often people, we almost don't want to share our faith because we see those over the top examples of people being combative and argumentative, and we're like, I don't want to do that. And so don't. What I love about the shepherds is they give us an example of just how we say yes to Jesus. And that when we begin to share our faith, it makes a difference not only in the lives of those who hear it, it positions them to encounter God, it impacts our life as well. What I love about our church is the way that people are engaging in their faith and sharing it with others in natural, practical ways. Let me just share two examples with you. The first one comes from the story of Amy. Now, Amy has been coming to our church for a little less than a year. She actually came back to faith because she was invited by a friend, a friendship that had developed over a number of years. And finally, Amy landed at a place where she realized that, I need to re-engage with my faith. I want to go to church. Well, recently, Amy posted on her social media a picture of her and her boys. And along it was this simple caption: "What a blessing it has been to experience my return to faith alongside my babies. They both love going to church every week. And as we grow a stronger, closer relationship with God, we are also making lifelong memories together as a family. These simple moments are not lost on me." I love that post. I love the interaction that people had, the comments that it made. It was just Amy being natural and normal and just sharing in a non-combative way the impact that faith was making on her and her boys. Who knows the impact that this had upon others as they read it? Maybe it stirred something in them to consider more of Jesus. This is a modern day shepherd type of move. Or I think of an email that I just received last week. In our church, we run Alpha, and Alpha is a great series that helps people that are exploring faith ask questions about Jesus and ask questions about how does this impact my life. And recently they did an evening around the question of how and why should I tell others about Jesus? Exactly this conversation. Like, should we even tell others about Jesus? The following day, this is the email that I got from one of the leaders. He said, Joel, last night we had this session. How and why should I tell others? The positive energy in the group was incredible. People were sharing stories of how they were sharing Alpha and their faith with their families, with their friends, with their coworkers, and others. The mood was so uplifting that all of us left with a greater sense of excitement. One specific person in our group shared something along the lines of this. Of course I told my coworkers and my mom. Why wouldn't I tell them? And now, one of my friends has started asking me about the church and about God. And she is considering to come and check it out. These are just two examples of the difference that it makes when we become more open about our faith and we're willing to be obedient and to say yes to Jesus in talking about the difference that he makes in our life. Because when we do, it not only impacts our life, it impacts the lives of others. You see, here's the important thing about when we share our faith. We leave the results up to God. We allow God to work in their lives. What's fascinating about the story of the shepherds is that we're told that as they shared the message, we're not told how many people came to faith. We're not told how many people joined them next time when they talked about faith. We leave the results up to God. But what we are told is that as the shepherds returned to their fields, they were singing praise and giving thanks to God. You see, because they shared their faith with others, it had an impact on others. It had an impact upon them. So what about you? How can you say yes to Jesus this Christmas? By sharing your faith. When you do, I believe you'll not only have a deeper sense of faith, but it'll give you a greater sense of purpose. Be a modern day shepherd. Talk about what you've experienced, what you've seen, what you've heard, the difference that Jesus makes in your life. And so look for opportunities. Look for conversations at work or at home or with family or at school. And begin to see what God is going to do. Christmas is the greatest season to talk about our faith. People are open and are aware. So what would it look like for you to invite someone to join you this Christmas to one of our Christmas candlelight services, whether in person or online, and use that as a starting point to talk about faith? And then leave the results up to God. But I believe this to be true. The more you talk about your faith, the more you share your experience with God with others, you'll see the impact on them, but you'll most definitely see the impact of God at work in you. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what God is going to do this season, not only in us, but through us, as we share what God is doing, how God is at work in the midst of our lives. Remember this principle at work. Faith is personal, but never private. Let's pray together. Gracious God, I thank you for the example of the shepherds. I thank you for the example of people like Amy and those that are taking Alpha. People who are just excited about their faith and wanting to share it with others. I pray for those of us that are listening and are watching today, that we would be bold in our faith, that we'd be willing to take steps of faith and to share with others just the impact, Jesus, that you make in our lives, and begin to see the impact that you'll have in their lives as well. And so give us the courage. Help us to say yes, to be obedient as we share our faith with others. For we ask this, Jesus, in your name. Amen. Thanks for joining us this week. My prayer for you is that you would experience the blessing and love of God in your life as you share your faith with others.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, in darkest nights. You are close like your mother. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, your goodness is running out, it's running after me. Your goodness is running out, it's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running out, it's running after me. Your goodness is running out, it's running after me. Your goodness is running out, it's running after me. With my life laid down, surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running out, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I'm able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, and all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, Lord, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Hi, my name is Tanya, and I've been coming to the Paris Community Church for the last 4 years.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I have been coming to the Paris Community Church now since February of this year. So I started coming to the church back in February when my beautiful friend Tanya had been asking me pretty consistently for 4 years if I would join her at different events at the church. And finally in February, I felt like I was ready to step through the doors of a church again after many, many years away.
So when we moved to Canada 5 years ago, Amy was my first neighbor. I remember that we had conversations about faith early on in our friendship, and I could tell it wasn't something that was, a priority at the time. But I think over time, as we got to know each other and different life events happening, I remember inviting Amy to simple things that are happening in the community, like the community dinners. Being a new single mom, I just wanted to help her out with not having to cook a dinner, and so it came very easily.
So I perceived Tanya's asking and inviting as a show of love for me and a way to include me at a time in my life when I was going through a lot of transitions. And to me, it felt amazing. It felt warm and welcoming and safe. I mean, we had developed a really good friendship up until that point already. So it just felt like something safe to do with somebody that I trusted.
So I remember one day, Amy said to me, "What are we doing this Sunday? Are we going to church?" And I said, "Well, yeah, it's what we do every Sunday." And I was quite surprised to find that she wanted to join us. I was surprised, but I was also very, very happy that she decided to join us.
I didn't realize that I had been missing God in my life for as long as I had. So I had been raised Catholic, and I left that religion a long time ago. And I don't think that it was any coincidence that my waywardly ways were coincided with me leaving faith. And I returned to faith at a time where I had given up alcohol, and I was on a really, really clear path, and God was waiting for me. He opened his arms to me, and I mean, it was weeks and weeks of crying every Sunday morning. Every single morning I cried. I was like, I don't think I should put on mascara today because I'm gonna cry. And I was like, no, I won't cry. Today's gonna be a no tear day. But it took me weeks, and still every so often it will hit me. And it is the highlight of my week. It is the way that I restart my week to elevate my life and to set a marker to be a person that lives in the light of God. And it's been just so beautiful. I just can't say enough good things about it, actually. I'm so grateful that Tanya was able to truly authentically invite me from a place of love and didn't stop, because had she maybe stopped inviting me, I may have not had the courage to have asked her that day, "Hey, what are you guys doing this Sunday? Can I come to church with you?" But because I knew that she took a stand, not just for me, but for the community as well, I knew that I could ask, "Hey, can I come to church?" when the time was right.